Welcome to San Francisco Week. Tell them what it's about, Jack.
Well, it's all about going to different agencies in San Francisco, figuring out what it's like to work in advertising in San Francisco, and just the culture in general. We went to Eric and Coleman, Barrett Hofherr, BSSP, Venables Bell and Partners, and Goodby Silverstein and Partners, and it's a freaking blast. You're going to want to stick around for this.
Boom. Said it perfectly. Check it out. Thanks for having us, and thank you so much. Excited to figure out what's going on. These walls here, I mean, what you have in this building already. We've been here for a little bit. It's exciting times, some change going on in this agency, but really we want to figure out what's it like working in advertising in San Francisco, and then what's it like working specifically here at Barrett Hofherr. So that's all. That's the mandatories. If we don't do that, we have failed. If we answer those two things, we're good to go. People will be happy.
You guys prepped us for those two questions, and I don't.
I didn't know.
Do you have an answer?
No, I don't.
No, you did. You gave us a little cheat sheet that those two questions were going to be asked. I'll start. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
I'll start with the Bay Area question, the San Francisco question. I've been here working in the Bay Area in advertising for 20 plus years, and it's funny. People ask that question almost as if to say, because you're not in the center of everything. You're on the West Coast, or maybe New York's the center. I've always felt like it is the epicenter, not necessarily of advertising in terms of the number of ad agencies we have here, although we have quite a few, but just of general business, life, culture, technology, activity. And so I've always felt like, man, we have a huge advantage being here in San Francisco. The amount of projects and business and potential clients that are circling all the time has been great.
The only thing I would add to the San Francisco thing is there is just an inherent startup mentality of San Francisco with all sort of the tech and the AI now. So it's always kind of felt like this is the optimal place to start something. And we even feel that on a client level. We work with clients where it's either going to be the next big thing or they're going to be out of business in 6 months. And there's an excitement to that I think is very much kind of kinship with sort of the advertising spirit.
Yeah, it's a unique set of business challenges probably. If you're working with companies that are more early stage, it's a different thing of launching a brand versus winning more market share for a brand, getting it off the ground. Is that something that feels more true to San Francisco in the sense of with all the different tech companies coming up? Are you seeing more of that demand for it, or how does that shape really and filter down into the creative agencies here?
I'll take that one. I think what's changed is everything's just faster. It's speed. You could be an early stage company. You could be a mature company. Speed is not going away. And nowadays, the tools, you can be fast. This is my 13th agency, so in the Bay Area. So I was here during the whole .com thing, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's the Wild Wild West." This is the Wild Wild West. We're just getting started, and thankfully we're independent. When you're independent, you can dive in, you can use all the tools, you can mess up, no one's going to get in trouble. So we've been playing with AI since the beginning. We have our own AI tools. We're encouraging people to play with it. We're not afraid of it. It's not going away. But at the end of the day, you still need classic storytelling, And I think, weirdly, the early stage companies in the Bay Area, they appreciate creativity, I think, more than in some other areas. They know, hey, we're tech heads, we're engineers, we're you guys are the creative people. So sometimes when you walk into a B2B client room, you just feel a little bit more appreciation than perhaps a packaged goods client from Chicago, which is also nice being here because you feel you feel a little bit of love.
Interesting. I was going to ask, you guys do a lot of brand building for these early stage startups? Because I feel like that would be my favorite thing to do at an agency if I was back in the biz.
Yes.
You considering that?
That's I think brand building is the coolest part of advertising.
Coming on back into the business?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Maybe you give him the box right now. That could lure him back.
Well, can I awkwardly segue into the box for a second, and then it'll be. I promise it'll be awkward.
But don't forget that question about the brand.
Yeah. Well, so do you guys typically have sponsors for your your plan?
We freaking try our very best to get it.
Well, I have one for you. Yellow door. Which camera's on? This one right here. Can we get a close up? Come on, Ellie. If you take anything away from this podcast,
close up.
yellow door. You got it. Yellow door, Montclair, breakfast and lunch. Virtually everything's homemade. And so I know you've had 57 podcasts, but I'm guessing this is the first time you've gotten homemade cookies.
Oh, thank you. Wow, this is nice. I'm just going to do a quick taste test.
You can ask questions with your mouth.
Yeah. All right. So
No, to answer your question about brand building, thank you. Look at they're sharing. I would say one of the things that we love about our agency, I'll take one, is we do flex. Like there's, I think if you were an agency right now in the Bay Area and it was day one, you probably would specialize. You'd probably be like, oh, we're a tech agency, or we're a B2B agency, or we're a social agency, or digital, above the line, below the line. We don't see lines. Like it's all marketing. So like in the last year, we've built a world-class design group. I mean, seriously, world-class. Ted Bluey, associate partner, when you guys are out there, hopefully you'll meet him, did Apple stuff, did Virgin stuff. So we have, and some of these clients in the Bay Area, not only do you get to build their brand, you get like equity in their company. Right. So you really become partners. So one of our partners is Bonafide. We helped name them. They were Startup of the Year, doing their identity, getting all that story correct. And again, they're so appreciative. If you talk to Leighton Hahn, one of the founders, they know their strength and they appreciate our strength.
I would say, back to your San Francisco question, it's kind of related. There are more conversations happen. There are tons of conversations happening here, and some of them, most of them, a lot of them are early stage. And I think that's part of what I meant about being in the center of things. And what will Bonafide turn out to be a major Bonafide opportunity? Who knows? I'll give you one classic though. When we moved in here, I guess almost 10 years ago, into this space, we had a subtenant which had about 10 employees, and they had been in business for about 2.5 years, who were a little older than us. And that subtenant was called Chime. And you guys heard of Chime? And we worked with them as a 10-person company, and they're now about a 2,000-person company, and they went public, and we still work with them. And so that there's always that feeling, to your point about if good work for Bonafide right now, or good work for Chime 9-10 years ago, who knows what this thing could become. And it's your batting average is pretty low, their batting average is pretty low, but there's that excitement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how does that kind of like for working in advertising in San Francisco, how does that ripple into the employees? Like seeing the success stories and probably some of the failures of these startups. What's the impact on your agency employees?
Devastating.
I think the impact is more immediate, especially with kind of the smaller startup type companies. I feel like a really popular question, especially with like legacy brands, is like, if you could start over today knowing what you know now, what would you do? And a lot of these companies are starting from scratch. So when we're being tasked with whether it's identity, naming, logo design, we don't have that as much, nearly as much history and baggage to seep through. We're truly starting from square one. And I think if you're a younger employee especially, it's like, oh my God, I'm getting in on the ground floor of something that could be enormous. Like to use the Chime example, I think they're the second biggest office in the city now, and we were sharing a fridge with them and picking out Pantone chips, So I think that immediate impact is something really cool.
What type of chips did he say?
Pantone chips. Picking out Pantone chips. There's something to be said about the relationship that gets built by sharing some picking of the Pantone chips.
I mean, like
beautiful.
Compared to like other cities, then where have you guys worked? Jamie, you were in Portland for a bit. Where else have you guys been across the U.S. in working in advertising?
I was in Portland for several years, where I met and married the owner of Yellow Door in Montclair.
I hear it's in Montclair. Woo! Close Monday and Tuesday.
Come on, people. They were a startup. It relates. What was your question? So New York a couple times, and Minneapolis is where I started, and I think actually Minneapolis at the time bears a lot of resemblance, or bore a lot of resemblance to what San Francisco is like now. A lot of creative activity. One other thing I would say, Gino, to your other question is, I've always felt that about employees that everybody, I don't know if you saw the sign on the door. It says, bring energy, bring curiosity, bring ambition. I've always felt that being a good agency, having happy employees, being productive is all about energy and being stimulated every day and being excited about things every day. And I think that having a lot of startup clients and having, like, what is bona fide? I want to learn about that. What's this thing called Chime? What might that become? I think that's really energizing for people, as opposed to being, hey, welcome to Agency X. You're on the, and believe me, I'd be happy to get the Citibank account, but you're on the Citibank account, and that's all you're going to be doing all year long. So I think in a relatively smaller agency, in an environment, in a market that has opportunities sort of swirling around all the time, I think that's really energizing for employees.
And I think you guys said when I was doing my research, perfect agency size is between like 50 and 250. Is that true when I was doing my research? Did somebody say that?
I think you gotta. For me, it's 85. 85 is the perfect size. I've worked at agencies that had like 8 people to 245. When you get over 250, you, especially if you love the business, you start managing people, so it gets a little lonely at the top. And we love the craft. So I think for us, this office will get to 85, and then we'll spill into New York, and we'll go to London. Would be the plan.
Nice. That's a good game plan.
Same.
Yep.
Same.
No, tell them our true plan.
Oh, we're thinking about going to Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
We're thinking about like setting up a compound of sorts.
there. Yeah. 2029. We're thinking about that.
2029 would be the goal.
And then we'll get people to come to us. Mm-hmm. It's like you want to talk about your agency, come to Des Moines.
We're in preliminary discussions with local, regional.
It would be a point of difference if you were in Des Moines.
It would be a point of difference. Speaking of points of difference,
oh, do it, Jack. Come on,
ready for this?
Land it.
I want to with the importance of like storytelling. I think it's interesting you brought up that like with a lot of these AI tech startup, that culture, they actually do appreciate creative storytelling more. I imagine it's because like, especially as AI companies mature more and more, they're starting to realize that it's one thing to have a good product, but you need to have a good story, and you need to be able to tell that story effectively to be able to compete. Is that something that you're noticing? Like, I can imagine the prediction would be like, AI boom, a lot of these companies are born, there's all this excitement, it's the gold rush. But when it comes down to it, a lot of these products are great, but they aren't effectively telling their story, or they're not doing it in a cohesive way. Do you see that like kind of trickling and coming down the line? Have we already started to see it? Am I totally off base there?
No, I don't think you're off base, but everyone can tell better stories. Yeah. You know, like if I look at the 2 things I'm most excited about right now is am I allowed to say what we're about to launch? Let's just say it's a Japanese barbecue sauce. Am I allowed to say that? Yes. Okay. So we won Bashan's, and they're this unbelievable, delicious, like Japanese barbecue sauce, #1 seller on Amazon, and that's classic CBG. Like, and that is a ton of fun, and I think that's some of the best work we'll do in our careers. That's in front of us, and then we're doing stuff for Yum Brands, Habit Burger and Grill. Again, it's classic stuff. Super smart marketers. They've always been telling really, really good stories, but you can always make it better. I think in a way that's even more fun than some of the startups, because the startups you're starting from zero, and yeah, they appreciate you got them from 0 to 30 miles per hour. But when you take like the CMO of Habit Burger and Grills could not be smarter. Like, he's one of the smartest clients I've ever met. So it's like, how do you take someone who's already great and make it greater? That's even more challenging.
I do think, though, Jack, to your question, that yes, and yes. Got cookie in my throat. But I do think the pendulum swings back and forth, and I think where you're going with that question is that right now the excitement is about AI, and I don't think there is as much of an emphasis on storytelling as there will be going forward. And I think that people will, once that sort of becomes almost not genericized, but universal. Everybody's using AI. Everybody's producing certain things with AI. It's going to be back to who's doing it the best, and who's telling whether it's AI stories or traditional film, who's doing it the best. And so I actually feel like the pendulum is starting to swing back in that direction, but I don't think it's 100% there yet.
It's hard. It's hard with there's no monoculture. People say there's not like everybody's tuning in to watch this one show every Sunday, like Sopranos anymore. So I've heard that kind of argument to what you're saying, to play devil's advocate. Like it's hard to break through. Everybody sees this one ad or gets excited for a Michael Jordan spot to come out. We don't really have that anymore. But you're arguing to say that there's something there is still to chase that because it's possible.
It's a good point. I mean, it's not like it's not. People aren't going to be exposed to the same things like they used to be because it's so diffuse. Very good point. But I do think there's ways to come over the top of that and be more, just more relevant than, having to come up with two things that were great last year and struggling.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And like I think the shift, the fragmentation of attention probably plays a big part in that. And like that's not an excuse for why you can't take over culture. Like it just might not take the form of a commercial, but it can take the form of like a brand can show up like it in any way. It doesn't, and you can still kind of own the conversation so that you're kind of making that point, which is super interesting.
Yeah, I was talking to one of our account people. We're in this is about impact over impressions. The old way it was impressions. This is about impact, and you can make impact on a really small scale. You can make impact at your compound and the experience people have there and what they take away with and how you sell that experience up front. That's how you create word of mouth and kind of a cultural event. So it's just a different approach. What I love right now is with the tools, anyone can do it. You can be a one-person creator, or you can be a giant like creative, network. So I'm genuinely pumped about what the next 5 years are going to be, and I love how it's like everyone's figuring out. There's new tools. It is the wild, wild west. One of the things we're incubating is like an insurance product for creators, because right now, like someone could like look at this podcast and put Jamie's head on Todd and take your words and like and take your IP. And how do you protect yourself? So there's going to be it's kind of like the beginning of the internet. There's going to be cybersecurity. There's going to be all these things we can't even imagine.
Yeah, right. And San Francisco it's similar to the internet. Yeah. This is where like you're seeing a lot of that. And so I guess I'm curious because you said that you were kind of around in San Francisco during the internet boom and the turn and what was all going on there. And so are you drawing similarities? Are there a lot of parallels in terms of the city of San Francisco, the culture of it with right now and then where it was with the internet boom?
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Like this is going to really date me, but I think you were at Goodby at the time, and I was at this agency, and we pitched Webvan. And Webvan was Instacart before Instacart. It was the biggest billion-dollar failure of the .com. We won the account. We're having the briefing meeting, and we're like, okay, show us the research. And they're like, we didn't do any research. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, everyone knows people hate shopping, so we're going to just deliver. I'm like, I go, really? My wife was going to like Trader Joe's. There was like Piedmont Grocer. There were like 6 places she was visiting. I'm like, I don't know if people really hate shopping. And it was a billion-dollar failure. So right now there's trillions. This is the gold rush. People are going to lose so much money. No one's figuring out the math right now. But like there's data where the ROI is not there right now. So people are just playing around, but that's also kind of fun. I mean, for us, we're small, we're independent, we're nimble, we're agile. If I were a big holding company, if I were a big organization, if I were a CFO right now, and everyone's like, hey, I need AI, I'd be like, do you really? Like maybe I'd pump the brakes a little bit.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think like I'm curious too. It's like you guys, from my research, like about speed. Is that like what you guys focus on, like getting to the projects faster for your clients, making sure they're in culture at the right time? Is speed a differentiation point for this agency?
Do you want me to? We call it momentum. So 4.5 years ago when I hooked up with Jamie, I was very, very impressed that like we have a seasoned mix of people. So like 3 partners will work on every project. So part of speed is you need people that have been around the track a couple times. You absolutely need young people, and you need to have like clear inputs. And what's great about sprints, we call them momentum sprints, is our client partners can't go away. Like, hey guys, we're going to solve this in 15 days, 30 business days. So at the end of every week, we're reviewing stuff. So we're big on sprints. We have our own AI tools, we call them momentum intelligent reports, that help us get up to speed really quick. Our briefs are kind of come with thought starters. We call them momentum thought starters at a time. So everything's about getting ahead of it and showing work, quality work, earlier in the process, so you can have a discussion.
I was going to say, traditionally, as you guys know, we take our 2, 3, 4 weeks and we concept whatever we're going to show the client internally, and we have several different review sessions internally. What we're trying to do is literally make that first creative meeting and the second and the third that leads up to when we really have our act completely together involve the client. So they're literally sitting in on when we're reviewing ideas in the rawest state. And that does two things. It makes the process go a lot faster. It gets them much more invested in the idea, and they can actually contribute to the idea. And it just builds our relationship because we're everybody's behind the same curtain.
Yeah, I would say we're fast partially because we're impatient. Like, that was something we realized a while ago, that like this whole idea of like, hey, we just got an email from the client, we're being briefed on this video game. They're still getting their stuff together, but in 10 days the brief should be ready. We're like, we already know what the game's about. Why are we like, yes, of course the brief's going to help shape it and define it and give more context, but let's start digging around. Let's start thinking about what that game could be, versus I think that's kind of a very old school way of kind of like, okay, we're excited, now let's sit on it for a while until we have an official signed off piece of paper.
And how does that impact bringing in creative talent? And whether it's within San Francisco or for that kind of model in particular, like what kind of talent is attracted to this agency, but also San Francisco in general, compared to maybe some bigger markets?
I think people that want ownership of it. You're gonna self-starters, people that get excited by, I'm looking at a blank piece of paper and I got to fill it in with great ideas in 10 days. I mean, it's a certain type of person. It's a person that's still passionate about the business, loves making ideas. So if you have a maker mindset and you're like, okay, like you're up for the challenge, it's great.
Yeah, I was going to say, we make a lot of work, and that's really key for everybody. Definitely the creative people, definitely the young creative people, but everybody wants to be involved in making something, so there's output. And so some of that is, like Todd was saying, we'll be making stuff before we even get a formal brief necessarily, because we have the facilities to do that here. And so people spend a year here, 2 years here, 3 years here, and they've made a lot of stuff. And that's huge. I mean, if you and I think that's probably generally true of San Francisco, because I mean, San Francisco doesn't have a lot of massive agencies, or there's a lot of us that are sort of in that small to medium territory, and I think that is that's helpful, because you just go, you can be decisive, and you can do rather than talk about doing.
Is that something that's kind of changed over the years? Is like adopting more of this maker?
I would say that's the way we've always been here. I mean, in terms of, because I think Matt used the word love or passion. We want to get people who love advertising. And I love advertising disproportionately, even several decades into it, and that's what we try to attract, those types of people, and I think they thrive here. So I think it's always been that way for us. But obviously AI. I mean, now you got a notion, make it in the next half hour. Yeah. And so that's just been a game changer in terms of just feeding that creative beast, as Matt likes to say, actually.
Feed the creative beast.
That is why I am in this business. It is always going to be about creativity, and my number one job is to feed the creative beast. And the way we feed the creative beast, not that there's a diet to the creative, but there's a little bit. Because like I said earlier, I could create a B2B shop and all we do is go after AI clients. Am I feeding the creative beast? No. The creative beast needs a very eclectic, you need to almost fuck with their diet. Like, okay, now you're working with burgers. Now you're working with cloud storage. Hey, here's a little pharmaceutical.
Yeah. That's really interesting, because I'm seeing like on maybe a smaller scale, but there's like these, I don't know if you call them agencies or production, whatever you want to call it, that are specializing in, we make launch videos for tech startups that just got their first round of funding. That is what they do. It's the only thing that they do. Based on what I'm hearing from you, that sounds like a potentially flawed methodology, because you're going to end up just making the same thing over and over and over. And then the next thing that you make will inherently have less value because it will be similar to the previous 40,000 things they made. So you're saying there could be a temptation, if you're an agency in San Francisco, to say, there's 5 million AI tech companies here. Why don't we just go after all of them? We'll take over the market. But you're saying that's actually not a smart thing to do.
I think it could be good for that company's bottom line, but it will run its course, and I wouldn't want to work there.
Yeah.
I feel like creatively it would be like going to the gym and having it be like right leg day every day.
Yeah.
Just the right leg.
I do just bicep. That doesn't sound too
Just have
familiar.
one really jacked arm.
Yeah, yes. And then those those people just they look disproportionate.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hang out with that person.
Yeah. Can we talk about ads? Because I got fired up when you guys were talking about loving ads. Like, what are some of the best campaigns, favorite campaigns you guys have worked on, either here, other agencies? Let's just talk ads for a little bit.
Okay. I like ads. I'll give you an example, a very recent example. I had a friend who is on the board of the Oakland Zoo, and they indicated that the Oakland Zoo needs to stir up some excitement about seeing wild animals, and they could be in the market for some sort of call it an ad, but whatever form that takes. And this was over, I think it was over Thanksgiving weekend, and Todd and I and some of the creative people, and Matt actually, feeding the creative beast, talked about like, maybe we had a loose notion immediately, and we said, well, maybe we should just go ahead and make this an entirely spec way for the Oakland Zoo. And then we started thinking, well, maybe it could be for the Nature Conservancy based on this idea we had, and we made it, and it's basically a short film, and I'm not even sure if it'll ever get done, or it is done actually, or it'll ever get owned by anybody. But that's what's our favorite thing. It's sort of the thing we're doing, and yeah, we've done a lot of campaigns over the years that I think we're really proud of, and I don't know if you guys want to I think.
So you did that over like Thanksgiving break, you said?
Yeah, and we have an editor who works here who put it together and used AI. But so it's kind of the thing that we're most excited about is the thing that we're doing right now. He's working. You should talk a little bit about Habit, what you're doing with Habit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with Habit for a couple years now, and have done a lot of fun things, from killing our mascot to dropping people out of planes. But I think, kind of to Jamie's point, it's yeah, it wasn't exactly that order. And now we've kind of shifted strategically, and we're doing something totally different, tonally, something totally different for the brand. And I think, to me, that's kind of, that's what keeps me excited about advertising, is like, it's great to do one thing and do it well, but then it's sort of like, okay, well, now do the opposite. Like when I came here early on, I ran the WWE video game account, and I fucking loved it. I mean, what's not to love about pro wrestling? But on one level, it was like, well, how can you not have fun making ads for a pro wrestling video game? Like, I think the challenge a lot of times is like, okay, well, here's this startup tech company that's doing the same thing as 12 other ones, and all of them are really boring, and they all sound the same, and you're going to see 12 of their billboards on the highway on your way to the airport. Now, what can we do to ours to make it really interesting? So I think there's kind of a different level of creative reward sometimes. It's like sometimes there's the lower hanging fruit that's just super fun and it's great, and you get to sort of explore a world that you didn't think you'd ever get to explore. And other times it's like, man, this brief is nothing. Like this category is nothing. Like, and if you can do something that really breaks through in that, I think that's super exciting. Like I brought up the highway billboard thing. This will be a fun game for you guys to play on your trip home, because when you drive out to the airport, you're going to see 200 tech billboards. I would say 99% of them are going to say AI. 99% of them are going to have the exact same look and feel. and challenge yourself if you can remember any of them.
Well, I guess that's maybe a question like, how much of it is it's on the brand side to say we want to do something that, you know, if you're taking on that creative challenge and you're kind of thinking like, how can we differentiate this brand, this tech company that's just like a bunch of the other ones. But sometimes I can imagine they might feel more at ease leaning back into the comfortable billboard ad that says AI, it says what they are. Is that like a challenge that's embraced here? That's like, you have to like, that's got to be half the battle.
Safe gets skipped, and I think a lot of clients still think safe is smart. It's not. It's safe gets skipped, especially nowadays. You got to do stuff. And going back to something that what Todd and the team did for The Habit. One of the things that gets me excited about advertising is when it becomes part of culture. And that, I think if you love making ideas, you love being a maker, you love seeing your idea out in culture, and you're not afraid of like AI and tools, like there's no better time to be in advertising. I humbly believe that. But like, I thought you were going to talk about in and out, because that was, and by the way, your answer was great, because I don't think we're an agency that looks behind us. I think I would say for anyone evaluating.
We'll send you links to all archived work.
No, but
year by year.
But I really like this one.
But we're filling out an RFI right now for a partner, and you know, they're like, oh, talk about your case histories you're most proud of. I always answer with the three things we're doing right now.
No, I'm all queued up.
Yeah,
Well, one other thing I was going to say is and Todd touched on it, like the Bachans work we're about to do. Have you guys ever heard of Bachans?
Yeah, I see it in the grocery.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. It's got good brand, like packaging.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you know what? Do you know what's on it? What
is it?
Creature?
Is it a creature?
It's an octopus.
Okay.
So the only point being, we're doing this project because it's their first. They're a very successful product that's never done, a substantial advertising effort, and they're great people, and they're just like kids in a candy store. We're doing advertising, and that's cool. And they have an octopus that you can play with. So that's a little sneak preview of there's going to be an octopus involved in some way. So there's that, but then there's also we had at our holiday party. One of the things we did was I'm digressing a little bit. What the heck? We do this thing called Mystery Box where you can win prizes, and Todd is the MC of it. And one of the questions was name as many of our B2B clients as you can and describe what they do. And for everyone, you got like $50 or something like that. Yeah. So that's my segue to say B2B is happening. B2B it's not. Can't say it's the next frontier for great advertising, because great advertising has been done for B2B in the past, but I think it's really opening up in a big way, and it's been a really great source for us of new business. And people, you were asking, like, do they want to keep it, be a little more conservative? We're finding a lot of people who are like, oh my God, we've never done, quote, creative things. And so there's excitement and a belief in brand building with a lot of B2B clients. And I think that to your other question about our employees, I think people are starting to realize there's great creative opportunities doing an outdoor board for a company called Chain Guard that I maybe haven't heard of. And so that makes me really excited about, the playing field is getting deeper and wider for where creativity can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I totally agree. The B2B marketing, you're seeing way more stunts, and you're seeing it happen, and all that does is all these other B2B marketing teams that probably have wanted to like really open up the playbook are now being able to say, look, like they did it. There's a B2B company that did something really cool, showed up in culture, and did something super creative, and it just kind of like gives everyone now this liberty to go and do it, and it inspires confidence. I'm sure it's really exciting to see that.
Totally. Amazing. You got to tell them about the in and out board.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably better. I was playing coy with what we're doing now because we're shooting it next week. I'm under.
Oh,
tight,
is that? Are you
tight-
talking about the new one?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I can't say anything about.
okay. All right.
This will be out in like February.
Oh, okay.
This podcast. So
Do we trust you?
No, that's
you
come on, man.
There was some bonding with the cookies.
That was good. That was a good moment.
that was a great moment.
Real quick, the Habit story was that Habit won the USA Today poll for best burger in America, and so I guess thousands of people voted, but all the headlines came back. There's a new number one burger, and it's not In-N-Out. So even when they won, In-N-Out still got all the headlines, which rightfully, kind of made Habit unhappy. So they bought. We bought the billboard directly in front of In-N-Out, right by LAX, kind of their signature restaurant, and it was very simple. We said, "Congrats on number 2, In-N-Out," and that got all sorts of attention, made people mad. Like local news got involved in all this stuff, and again, very simple board. But then this year they did the poll again. We won number 1 again, and In-N-Out came in number 4. So we just ran the same billboard again, crossed out number 2, and put number 4.
Ouch.
And then,
That's amazing.
yeah, and that one got my favorite piece of press because people care about burgers, so it gets covered outside of advertising. But that actually made it to dictionary.com under the definition of trolling. It was one of 3 examples cited. So that's something you can tell mom that you made the dictionary.
I mean, that's genius. And what's I cannot if. I obviously would never hope that this is the case, but if In-N-Out ever got number 1 and then Habit got number 2, like that's it. You would think if you're In-N-Out, I'm like, we got to do it back to them, but then it ends up just working for
Exactly, yeah.
You that's a great. Habit's in like the most perfect spot. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I mean, In-N-Out come after us would be a good thing.
That would be a good thing for sure.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up with our recurring questions. I ask these to every agency that we're visiting. Number 1 is, what is the work that defines the agency right now? I'm assuming you're going to say the most recent work.
I'd say that the Habit work and the work that will be out for Bachans that you will, when this podcast airs, will be among the defining work. And I also would say the work we do, where I would loosely call it, there's a high degree of difficulty and or an expectation that maybe there isn't a creative opportunity here, and that is like the B2B work and a lot of the and some of the startup work. So I'd say we're defined by being able to find the creative opportunity and the creative idea regardless of the assignment, regardless of the degree of difficulty.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Can I throw one more thing out there? Well, here's my hope. My hope is in because you see our space. We just signed a 6-year lease. We're doubling down on San Francisco. All new paint, furniture. Next time you guys come here, it'll look like your future compound.
And I would do the same if I had this bar right down there that I'm seeing, and I would never leave this place.
Yeah. we actually want to go there.
You're going to go there later.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
If you have time.
For the viewers at home, there's a nice Irish bar outside this.
It's right outside the window. Yeah.
No, only one plug per podcast. Yellow Door, Montclair.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize we had a mid-roll.
I was serving it.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was saying the thing that I think this would maybe it happened in other places, but Jamie, being in San Francisco, being a creative person, about 3 years ago when we were doing all these momentum sprints, Jamie's very, I mean this in a good way. You're not a selly, what's the agency shtick, and you said that you wish we had like some score. You wish we had something to like measure momentum. So like 3 years ago, we created this brand momentum score, and it's getting a ton of traction. There's this major global movie release, and they're going to use our brand momentum score to measure the audience's like buzz and like before the big launch. We're doing it with CPG. So I think our brand momentum score and being known for momentum and work that creates momentum is, I hope, podcasts in the future, people come to us for that and know us for momentum.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Next question. Jack has great hair. This is what people constantly say. What is one thing clients constantly say about this agency?
Oh, this Jack. This Jack has
yeah.
great. There are a lot of Jacks in our life. We have a lot of clients named Jack. What is the one thing that people say about us? Why don't you start?
Oh, geez. I think we get applauded for the work that we put in, and by that I mean part of it is sort of the momentum sprints, and I think no one ever leaves a first date with us saying like, "Wow, I wish those guys would have tried a little harder." And that's that's not to say our superpower is trying hard, but I think it all kind of comes back to that passion and surrounding yourself with people that just get really excited about it, and I think that enthusiasm shows in the work.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is we don't have a house style. You know, the work we're doing for the B2B clients, the work we're doing for Bachans, for Sutter Health, for Habit, it takes very many different forms, and so I pride myself and ourselves on being chameleon-esque and like hitting many different notes depending on the client, and that's part of what I think we've delivered over the years and will continue to. Yeah.
Love that. And the last one here: how does working in San Francisco advertising differ from other markets?
I would say, I worked for many years at Goodby Silverstein. So did Todd. This guy's worked at 13 agencies, many of which were
12 here.
12 in San Francisco. Todd worked at Argonaut. And we know all the people, the vast majority of the people over it. I'll name check them, at Venables and Eric and Coleman and Mechanism, and there's a sort of a constant, not constant, because I don't want you want to hold on to your great people, but there's a familiarity with each other and a sort of a fraternity of people who have worked together, who worked at a different agency together, and that's, I think, ultimately a really healthy, cool thing, and obviously there's some healthy competition too, and that's part of it, but people who work here generally, a lot of people stay and love it, and so you get to know each other over time. So I like that about it.
I think part of San Francisco coming back too is like, I think who had the Adioki idea? Was that Connor or whatever? But the agencies do come together. Like I would never poach someone from the agencies you just mentioned. In fact, Mechanism in the past has like literally said, "Hey, we're too busy. Method Soaps. This is an insanely great creative opportunity. Will you do it?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." There's
It's
a
good
lot
for
of
everybody.
It's good for everybody.
We definitely try to keep it in the city.
You want to, it keeps it healthy so people are more willing to move here, stay here when everybody's doing well. If there's just one agency in here, then I, from New York, might not want to move because what if it doesn't work out? I'm going to move my family potentially, get a house, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's totally true. We totally root for San Francisco. We absolutely do. I just want to say one other thing. I know you haven't asked this question, but this is something I've been thinking about lately. Kind of relates to what we're talking about. I really feel like there's a new starting line for all ad agencies. This is not San Francisco specific, but I feel like AI, more than anything, but a lot of things that have been happening in the world to business in general has leveled the industry. Well, what's happening with the holding companies. To the point where your reputation in the past, what you did 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is less and less important. It's more what you do today, tomorrow, next year, and I think that's a huge opportunity for everybody. I don't think there's a clear 5 agencies that are the best. I really don't. I think the agencies that you guys are on the tip of your lips 6 months from now may be totally different. And so I think that's super cool for agencies in general. It's like as long as you have a good, strong foundation and good people, the future could be incredibly bright. So I think that's our attitude. Matt talked about the brand momentum score. A lot of our offering is changing and evolving. We just got to keep the people energized and make the next thing better than the thing we just did.
Love that momentum, Gino.
Want to sound
Look
us
it up.
off here, Jack?
God, this is always the hardest part. We're trying to get better at these sign-offs. Here we go. Thanks.
Your hair looks great. Go for it.
Let's get the ad read.
Thank you to Yellow Door for keeping us energized. for a great conversation with a great crew here at Barrett Hofherr. Keep the momentum rolling, and we'll keep the camera rolling in the meantime. Thanks, gentlemen. Come on.
He's good.
This is 3, 2, 1. See ya.